There is nothing I love more than tailored wool trousers with pleat detailing, so I was very excited that Chelsea sent through this stunning pair from the Frankie Shop.
Now I'm going to show you how I'd make the pattern for them.
Hi, welcome to Pattern Making with Lee. If you missed out on this round of free pattern making consults or didn't know I was doing them, I will be doing more in the future, and there are 2 ways you can find out about them.
Subscribe to the newsletter on my website to receive an email notification. When you subscribe, I'll also email you the 10-step pattern checklist I use to check my patterns before I send them to production. Or subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the notifications bell, then you're sent an alert every time I post something on my channel.
In this demonstration, I'll be following my designer pattern process, which is a system I developed when I wrote my pattern making guides. And there's actually nothing revolutionary about it.
It's the same 4-stage approach used by professional pattern makers, broken down into clear steps for designers and home sewists. The first stage is pretty simple. It's all about identifying the changes I need to make to the block.
In the industry, to speed up the pattern making process, pattern makers will work from blocks, especially for pants where you don't usually need to make too many major changes to the silhouette.
This design has a lower crotch, so I'd use my relaxed fit block, which finishes about 5 cm, so 2 inches below the crotch.
This gives you a bit of room, but it's not saggy or unflattering. And if you can't get enough or tailored to your member of my channel, you can watch this video about how to make a relaxed fit block using a trouser block as the base.
Now let's see what changes I need to make. My block finishes the waist, but the pant is lower, so I need to adjust the rise. I also need to adjust the leg fit to make it wider, add 2 pleats, a slant pocket at the side, a zip fly at the front, and a waistband.
Stage 2 is all about making your life easier and creating a solid foundation to put your design on. Yes, we're using a block, but in this stage we're going to make relatively simple pattern adjustments to create the design silhouette.
In my trouser jean and short guide, I've broken this down to 3 steps, and step 1 is adjusting the leg length. This design has a slouchy look, so I'll extend the block, which finishes at the ankle, by 8 to 10 cm, so 3¼ inches to 4 inches. The next step is to adjust the leg fit.
My guide has all the ankle and knee measurements for the usual pant leg styles, from super skinny to wide palazzo style pants, and these pants are looking pretty wide.
My guide recommends a minimum of 50 cm, so 19½ inches at the ankle for wide legs. I think it's a bit bigger than that though, so I'm going to do 54 cm. My relaxed fit block ankle is already 44 cm for size 8, so I need to extend each in and out seam by 2.5 cm, so 1 inch. Now on to step 3, where we adjust the rise. These pants are below the waist, but above the belly button, so they're considered a high rise pant, which means I will drop the pant waist by about 2.5 cm, so 1 inch.
However, I take the waistband width into account. This waistband looks about 5 cm, so 2 inches, which means I drop the waist by another 5 cm.
So I'll drop the waist by 7.5 cm, which is about 3 inches, and you'll notice the front dart is almost completely removed on the front pattern now.
And that's the base shape done. How easy is pattern making when you have a guide to follow? Now we can move on to stage 3 and start adding our design details. Stage 3 of my trouser jean and short guide is absolutely huge because there are so many different design details for pants.
To create this pant pattern, I need to follow steps in the pleat section, pockets, waist finishes to create the waistband and fly opening. I'll need the belt and tie section so I can create the belt loops.
Pleats are so much more than a design detail. They're actually a tailoring tool with a really important functional purpose. If you're interested in learning more about pleats and their history and why tailors developed them, I've done a whole video on this with some drafting tips too, which you can check out after this one, and I'll put a link into the video in the description as well.
To create these pleats, all I need to do is draw my slash line at the desired location, cut along it. For these pants, I'm going to cut along the crease line, finishing just before the hem, then spread the pattern by 2 times the desired pleat width. Remember, the pleat needs to fold back on itself. Then, draw an arrow between either side of the pleat. The arrow should point to where the fold is landing. The last step is to fold the pleat, like you would if you're going to sew it, and trace the waist seam shape to the pleat excess. These trousers have 2 pleats, so I do the same process twice.
If you look at the top of the pleats, you'll see these trousers have partially stitched pleats.
So, when I fold the pleat to draw the seams in the excess, I'll also mark the end of the stitch line and draw a dashed line between the top of the pleat and the point. Dashed lines are used to indicate stitching.
Now let's add a slant pocket. A slant pocket is an internal pocket with diagonal opening, and there are so many fun creative things you can do with slant pockets.
You can add a separate pattern piece along the opening, fold the fabric back along the opening and secure it with a button, extend the pocket onto the waistband, which is very common for bush pants, or finish the pocket opening at a star line.
I've covered all these options in my guide. However, these trousers just have a classic slant opening, so all I need to do is
Draw the diagonal line on my front pattern, draw the pocket bag, then trace off the front and back pocket and trim along the diagonal line. And the pocket patterns will look like this.
Now let's tackle the waistband. Waistbands can be contoured to the body or rectangular. This one's looking rectangular and it's a bit wider than the usual width.
I'm making the waistband 5 centimeters, so 2 inches wide, and it'll be on the fold, which means the fabric is folded when it's sewn. Then add your 1 centimeter, so 3/8 of an inch seam allowances. You can get the length by measuring along the top edge of your pant, not including the pleat or dart excess, because that'll be sewn closed.
We can't quite finish the waistband yet though. First, we need to add the fly. The fly in these pants is right over left, which is a traditional way for women's pants.
Flies are made of 2 pattern pieces, the fly facing and the fly shield.
Flies always do my head in. I don't know why, because the pattern is actually relatively quite simple, so I'm so glad I wrote this guide so I can just follow the steps.
The first step is to mark the end of your opening. This is where the zip will finish. Then extend the center front by 1 centimeter, so 3/8 of an inch on the side that goes under to this point. If your pattern is a pair, write cut here for the side, so left hand side or right hand side is going on top. You only want to extend the side of the pant that goes under.
This is a step that I always see YouTube videos and even teachers in the industry forget, and it is so important because it helps to conceal the zip along the opening.
Then you draw the fly facing shape on the front pattern and trace it off so it's right side up to create the pattern. To create the shield, you can use the fly facing pattern as a base. The only difference is the fly shield needs to be 1 centimeter, so 3/8 of an inch longer. This helps to create a cleaner finish inside. It also should be 1 centimeter narrower, since it's attached to the 1 centimeter extension we add along the center front. And you can put it on the fold to make it easier to sew. Then just add your seam allowances. Now the fly shield is done, you can measure the width at the top and extend your waistband pattern by that amount, because the waistband needs to be extended to top of the shield. Last little bit is to add the belt loops. Belt loops are rectangular patterns on the fold.
The trick with belt loops, or the thing to remember, is you need to add enough ease to let the belt slide through easily.
See how the belt has a thickness to it? Increasing the belt loop length by 1.5 centimeters, so half an inch, should be enough. The belt loop length also depends on where you want it to finish on the pant.
Now that you've created the silhouette and added your design details, you can go to stage 4 and finish your pattern. This is a really important stage, so you're checking your pattern can be sewn together correctly and that all the seams match up. So the first step is to true your joining seams, and I've done a whole video on this which you can check out after this one. And then once you've trued your joining seams, check they're all the correct length, you can then add your seam allowances. And I would add 1 centimeter, so 3/8 of an inch for this design.
And I'm thinking this trouser has a 4 centimeter hem allowance, so 1.5 inches, which is folded and stitched up, and that's it.
I was actually surprised that was it. I would assume that a wool pant would have a lining, but this one's unlined, so lucky me. However, if you do want to learn about linings, my guide does cover that too. I hope you enjoyed this viewer request and keep a lookout for future ones so you can submit your own designs. If you are interested in pant drafting, I've got some more free videos coming up, and of course you can grab one of my guides and follow my 4 stage designer pattern process to create your own pattern.